AI is the bomb. Everybody's talking about it. How does it impact the entrepreneurial journey? We're going to talk about that next. Welcome, everybody. I'm Scott. He's Dave.
Welcome, everyone.
And this is, we're sponsored by free-ebooks.net. If you want to read a book by an amazing authors that nobody's heard about, they're there. You can get 5 free ebooks a month for free. Did I say free? And so we'll be talking a little bit about that in a few minutes. But one of the things that is just not going away, oftentimes, I'm sure it's happened to you, Dave, you know, in the last 30 odd years, we've had lots of experiences where, oh man, this is so hot. It's going to be the greatest, latest, most amazing thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, been there, done that. And, you know, a week later, nobody's talking about it. And a great example is Facebook's Threads. For a week, everybody was, oh man, are you on Threads? And then it was, you can't get off unless you cancel your Instagram account. So those of us that never got on, we're quite happy about that. And then now nobody talks about it. But
Exactly.
It doesn't seem
or
like
Clubhouse. Clubhouse was another one of those.
Clubhouse, yes. All these people that rushed out with courses on Clubhouse and how to make a fortune, and then nobody's using it anymore.
Yep.
But I guess that's part of the entrepreneurial journey, right? When you see an opportunity, you jump on it. Sometimes it's going to be a strikeout. Sometimes it's going to be a foul ball. Sometimes you're going to get to first base. Sometimes it's a home run. And you know, we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball that tells us what's happening in the future. So you take, you know, so hats off to those entrepreneurs that made a Clubhouse course and looking forward to the next one. But AI, artificial intelligence, seems to be an entirely different beast altogether.
Definitely.
What's your take on it?
Well, I like to say that it's 10 times bigger than the internet, and that's probably an understatement. And that's because it's going to permeate everything. You know, the internet did that. The internet permeates our lives now, but it took a long time for it to do that. It's taken probably 15 to 20 years from the kind of the first popularity of the internet for it to just go everywhere. But AI is everywhere already. It's already being used by enterprises, large companies, things like that, and they're all bringing out their AI stuff. There's a gold rush for new AI companies, new AI talent, all that kind of thing. And I happen to have my ear to the ground on this, Scott, because we run a whole AI channel, of course. And so it's just permeating everything. And so it's here to stay. I mean, it's here to stay, and it's not only here to stay, but it's going to get even more and more prevalent as we go on. And, you know, what's interesting is sometimes we see some surveys where people are interviewed about ChatGPT, things like that. And recently, like 2 weeks ago, there was a survey done, and a big percentage of people had heard about it, but had not used it yet. And I thought that was interesting.
I've been thinking about that particular part of AI, Dave, and I think what's going to happen is we're not going to realize we're using it. Like, I think that's really where it's like, there's a lot of people, like, back up for a second, Chat GPT. You can ask it a question and it'll write you an encyclopedia on the topic if you wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. And the other day I did a search in Google and all the results were terrible. And then I happened to look over to the side and there was 3 paragraphs that answered my question, because Google has integrated already, right? You know, and so it was like, oh, that is really cool. And they had to, because if you just went to Chat GPT and you got all your answers, why would you ever go to Google?
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the best price on a car? You know, boom, there's Chat GPT with the whole analysis, you know.
Yeah, it really is a mad rush into the space. All of Silicon Valley is AI now, and it's just going to be a matter of time. I mean, on our channel, we preview and we showcase all kinds of AI tools, from video tools to SEO tools to content creation, social media tools, image editing and image creation tools and things like that. So there's so much more. If you're one of those who's just heard of ChatGPT, maybe you've tried it, dabbled with it, and been amazed. There's always that first instance, right, where you just like you see text going and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. That's just that moment when you go, probably the moment when we all kind of got on the internet. It's like, oh, I can surf this internet and find things. Like how cool this is, right? Well, this is
how
so
brilliant were they in having it being typed out, so you can just see it typing instead of just all of a sudden all the text appearing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a
in real
user
time.
experience. Yeah, it's a user experience that makes you sort of sit up. And one tool that came across my desk 3 or 4 days ago, and I think it really illustrates this whole idea of you're not necessarily going to have to get, like when we started with web pages, right? HTML. I know people that were coding in Notepad, all the raw code to make everything work.
Wow.
And then, Dreamweaver, I think it was, came up, and Adobe had something, and
Microsoft
now you've got
Front Page. I used Microsoft Front Page to build my first websites.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have WordPress, and everybody just sticks what they want to be published into WordPress, and nobody pays any attention at all to the HTML code and all the rest of it. But what I love comics. So growing up, I read Superman and Spider-Man and all those guys, and I would draw comics and everything else. And there is a comic AI program out there. So you tell it what you want, and it'll just create it. And I was just thinking that is just going to totally revolutionize that one area of publishing. And of course, there'll probably be one for movie scripts, and and we've got video editors or video AI stuff. So movies, and of course there's, books and stuff that are already being written by AI, but it's just going to open up creativity. It has the potential to open up creativity is my point, right? Because I could never sit down and write out a comic script, and I could certainly never pencil a comic, and I could certainly never ink it, and forget about coloring it, right? But if I say, you know what, I got this great idea for a story, and I kind of map it all out, and then I put it into Chat Comic GPT,
right,
and then I have a 30-page comic, I can put that on Amazon, and who knows what'll happen, right?
Exactly. There's so many tools. We were just talking about websites. We've reviewed a couple of tools that will build a website with just a prompt, just a short prompt, and it'll build the whole website for you. Where before, do you know how long it took me to build my first website? It took me 2 months of studying 2 books about Microsoft Front Page to just wrap my head around the idea of what a website is, how does it work. It took me 2 months to build my first website back then. Now, with one prompt, you just type it in and boom, creates a website in minutes. That's crazy, And as you're talking about comics, as you're talking about movies, you're going to be able to write the premise for a movie, the just a real basic plot idea, and text to video will create a whole movie for you. Imagine instead of going on Netflix, I don't know if you do this, but I know we do that. We'll go on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Like, I want to watch a movie, but I never end up finding a movie that I want to watch. I just, maybe my standards are too high, or maybe this is as common with everybody, but we never end up finding the movie. Imagine if you could just say, hey, make me a movie that does this, and then the character does this, and then add in a few surprises. And then boom, it serves up this custom-made movie for you.
Right.
That's where we're heading. It's amazing.
And then you share it with your friends.
Right.
And all of a sudden you've got 1 million downloads of your movie, right?
Yeah, maybe there's some monetization there. You get a little share of it. So it's crazy.
So putting on your or bringing out the crystal bowl, what do you think is, aside from it's going to get faster, it's going to get more knowledge? I think the 3.5 version only had the knowledge up to 2 or 3 years ago. So now they're going to update all of that. I'm sure they'll get to the point where it'll just be updating constantly. Because AI is creating all this content, but we're also creating all this content. We're studying different things. We're, looking at telescopes in different directions.
Yeah.
we're constantly adding to the knowledge base. And now with ChatGPT, you're going to be able to access that probably in the easiest way possible, I would think.
Yeah, well, even already they have the ChatGPT audio. It'll basically, you can just speak to your phone like Siri or Alexa,
Oh,
and
wow.
ChatGPT will answer you. I don't think it answers you in verbal yet, but it'll text out and answer. So just imagine integrating that type of technology into everything you do. You asked about the future. Just look at Iron Man, the movie Iron Man, and where he's got his Jarvis, right? He's got his
Right.
Jarvis robot, and he just says, "Hey, book me this and set this up for me." And that's basically what we're looking at, I think. Our own personal Jarvis that will
Wow.
do everything for us, like an assistant. Here's how I think of AI, Scott. So I'm not a graphic designer, but I have Midjourney, which is like having an incredible graphic designer at my disposal. I'm
Right.
not a science fiction author, but if I wanted to, I could ask ChatGPT to write me a sci-fi book. I'm not a web designer, but with one prompt, I get a website design. So it's like having these super brain assistants in every area of your life.
Right.
That's really, what's happening. And that's how I see the future right now with AI.
So I'm planning a trip to Florida. I'm actually planning 2 trips to Florida, one in about 3 weeks and one in December.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be, probably Colombia. So I've been spending like frustrating amounts of time on Google Flights. And as I was listening to you, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be so good to say, I want to know the flights from like Bogota to Florida. I don't care if I go to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Tallahassee, Orlando, Tampa, like doesn't matter to me, but I'm cheap. I want the
Right.
best, I want the best fare and the
Yeah.
least amount of like, cause you can get the best fare and it's 4 stops and it
Mhm.
takes 3 days.
Right.
So, but just to be able to put those parameters in, because I was even thinking today before we got on, I thought, you know what? I would love to see like an app of some type where I could just say, I want to get from here to here, or I know where I want to get to, but I could be in Costa Rica, I could be in Panama. I don't care where I am because I'm just sort of wandering around, but I need to be in Florida on, October 18th or something. So from which place can I leave
Yeah.
that's the fastest and cheapest, because I'll just sort of meander around and get there somehow, right? Because it's just, I'm super flexible in that aspect of it, right?
Right.
And it's and then if you're in Europe, right? Like, I don't care if I fly from Paris or if I fly from Madrid, because I can just take a train and that's fun because I'm exploring, or Rome, but I need to be in Cairo, on November 7th.
Right.
So which flight is the fastest, easiest, cheapest? And,
Yeah.
and has the nicest airport, right? You're not gonna be in lineups for like 7 hours trying to get through customs. It's like there could be all these different criteria that you stick in, and it remembers it. And then you just say, I gotta be here. I'm in South America and I gotta be in Europe, January 14th. Like, where's,
Yep.
where do I need to leave from?
I have some good news for you, Scott.
What?
That does exist. Okay.
Oh,
In
right.
fact, we did a video on that about that. And what it is there's this whole thing called ChatGPT plugins. And one of the
Oh.
plugins is Expedia. And you could literally do what you just said. You could explain exactly everything you want, what parameters you want, what days, times, down to like rental cars, down to hotels, your whole trip. You could just say, here's what I want. Give me the best solutions. And boom, it just goes and does it.
Cool. Okay, so what is the name of your YouTube channel? I'm going to put it in search and bring it up and share it with everybody.
Yes, it's Making Money with AI. we basically highlight all different kinds of ways to use AI in a business, a side hustle, basically ways to make money with it.
That sounds like something everybody should be paying attention to.
I think so.
So I came up with your channel, but that's not the right one, right?
Yeah, I can get you the.
There it is. There it is. I found it. Okay, so I'm just going to share it. Let me just share it so people can see it. There it is, you and James. And you've got your shorts, got your videos.
I can't see it on my screen, but.
Oh, just a sec.
Yep.
Oh, where have we? Wrong. I forgot to. There, it's a two-step process sharing.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
There we go. Thank you for saying that.
Sure thing.
So there's two handsome gentlemen around forever, and tons and tons of. I love you. So, does AI make your thumbnails?
Actually, yes. Yes, we do. I do use AI to create some of the imagery in the thumbnails. Sometimes it's stock photos, but a lot of those people that you see on those images are generated by Midjourney. And so I'll give it a particular prompt, or some of the backgrounds. Sometimes I'll have like a conceptual background, like the one there that says make 3,000 per day. That's that background image was made in Midjourney. So yes, we use AI for our thumbnails. We use AI. AI, by the way, Scott, creates all of our YouTube shorts. Those short videos, those under 60-second videos, AI creates all those for us, automatically edits them for us, adds captions to them. It's amazing. I literally get the link of our video, pop it into this one tool, and it spits out several shorts in a matter of minutes. So just, the way that AI is changing things, especially the business world. I
Right.
mean, it's speeding things up. It's giving you leverage. It's leveraging time. It's having super brains for assistants. It's incredible. Yeah.
It really, we'll look back on this time in 10 years and just say that's when the world really changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really has changed. And so let me just get the URL, and I will put it in the comments for everybody.
Appreciate that.
You can go and see that. And we're at the point now in the show where I think what we should do is talk about the course of the week. And the course of the week is how to use AI and Amazon to create and sell physical books that pay you.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about this course, Dave.
Well, this is an amazing niche. And what I've done is identified some of the most easy to do businesses that you can either do as a side hustle, or if you get really serious, they can be a full-time passive income. And what this is Amazon has this amazing program called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And what this is a print-on-demand program.
Right.
So I can take a book that I write. Let's say that you're an author. And by the way, you don't have to be an author to do this system, right? But let's say that you had a book and you wrote it, you put it into a PDF format, and you upload it to Amazon. And then when your book sells, Amazon prints the book and ships it to the customer.
That's
and
so
it's
cool.
just print on demand. It's super easy. I remember when I wrote my very first book a long time ago, and it wasn't even about business. And I had to pay $1,200 just to get, I forget how many books printed, maybe 500 books. I don't remember. And I had to pay $1,200 to get the book printed before I even knew whether the book would sell or not. Right.
Right.
Here with print on demand, you just come up with the book and you don't ever have to buy any books. It just gets automatically shipped by Amazon. And Amazon, of course, being the world's largest bookseller, being an incredible marketplace for books. So that's the premise of it. But now there's this opportunity to create what we call low content books. So low content books can be something as simple as a coloring book.
Right.
You can easily get Midjourney to create all kinds of coloring book pages for you. With the right prompt, you can have it basically create a line drawing for a coloring book of cute dogs and cats, for example. Black and white, a white background, etc. However you put the prompt, right? And I show you how to do that. And then with some of the new features that Midjourney has, you can create multiple pages very quickly. Suddenly, you've got a whole coloring book for kids. But there's this whole other market, Scott, that are coloring books for adults, because a lot of adults deal with anxiety or they have trouble sleeping, and they find that coloring calms them down a lot, right? So there's this whole other niche of coloring books for adults. And these can be just patterns, like I think they're called mandala patterns.
Oh, yeah, mandalas, yeah.
Circular patterns and cool things. And then people can just, it's a way to, focus attention away from your problems and your issues and things like that, and just be in flow state, right?
Right.
Then there's other types of books like planners that can be applied to any niche. So it could be a planner for a business owner. It could be a planner for a chiropractor. It could be a planner for a coach. It could be a planner for a yoga studio, whatever. And then there's a whole nother niche for journals, right? So I worked with a young lady, one of my clients, and I helped her to create a hardcover journal available on Amazon for backpacking and camping. She's a backpacking and camping expert.
Cool.
And she made the most amazing journal. In fact, in this course, you'll see the walkthrough that I did with her as we walk through how to list this journal on Amazon. And as a way to show, to teach people how to do this, I said, hey, can I record this? And I recorded that walkthrough step by step on how to list your product, your book, on Amazon KDP. So you can do journals, you can do planners, you can do guides, you can do checklists, you can do joke books. You can have ChatGPT give you a bunch of jokes. There's so many different types of these low content books that you can make. And the thing is, they make a lot of money. They can be very popular. And so the cool thing is, once you list it, it just keeps bringing you income because it's on Amazon. I mean, it's where everybody buys. So it's a very cool niche to get into.
That is super cool. And the link, if you use our link, you'll get $50 off, half price, and it'll be either in the comments or in the descriptions. So, very, very cool. All right. And so that's our course of the week. And now we're going to talk about our quote of the week. We actually have two. And I have to find it. So I was looking at different quotes regarding AI, and I really like this one. The real question is, when will we draft an artificial intelligence bill of rights? What will that consist of? And who will get to decide that? Gray Scott. So I guess part of the question is this intelligence going to be like a living intelligence, have the same rights as a living intelligence, which means you turn it off after an 8-hour day and let it rest, or what happens?
That is an interesting question. I mean, what about laws, legislation in the future about artificial intelligence, AI? That opens up a whole nother opportunity, I guess, for attorneys.
Right. And copyrights and patents and all those sorts of things.
Copyrights, patents. It was interesting. Recently, they did decide that AI content is not copyrightable, or at least one of the courts decided that. But that can change,
So that would be really interesting, because if you made this awesome movie and then I downloaded the movie, ran it through some sort of AI to change, the leather jacket to a sweater or something, and, change the pitch of the voices or the tones of the voices, and switch around a couple of the scenes. Am I plagiarizing you? Am I stealing from you? Right?
Right.
Because with copyright now, if you went through the whole process, like Mission Impossible 10 or whatever, and I took it and I fiddled around with it and said, possible mission, you'd be suing me like crazy, right?
Right.
But if your content is not copyrightable, then that's Creative Commons, I would assume, which means I could do whatever I want with it, right?
Right.
Which would really be, if you had someone who was a very good marketer but really terrible at making products, and you were great at making products but couldn't market, and I was a schmuck, I would just take your stuff, run it through, some AI to make it a little bit different, and then I would sell it out, and then you'd be looking at it like, it reminds me of the music industry. There was two famous musicians who, one of whom, and of course, like when you're being creative, where does your inspiration come from?
Exactly.
Other musicians, probably, right?
Yeah.
But he took this chording that was exactly the same as another song's chording, and they made a deal or something, and the guy ended up paying a couple $100,000 or something. But one of the criteria was no one could talk about the deal, and if you did, it would all reverse and you had to return the money.
Wow.
So 20 years later, the guy is on late night with some guy, and they're talking about this court case, and he says, yeah, I paid the guy $200,000 and blah, 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 blah. 3 days later, he gets a letter from the lawyer and has to return the money, right?
Wow. They were just waiting.
They were just waiting for him to screw up.
That's funny. Well, it begs the question, though, and I have this question. I was on Midjourney one day, and I just typed in coloring book pages, and I saw lots of coloring book pages that other people had already generated. And I'm like, wait a minute, if it's copyright free, then can I just grab those pages and put them into a coloring book and sell it? It seems to be the case,
Right.
So
you find somebody who's really good on Midjourney and doesn't understand stuff, right? Like a kid. And he's making all this creative stuff, and you just scoop it all up, and away you go. So this whole thing about Bill of Rights, of course, comes about with, like living versus non-living, or, how do we work with this new technology, which reminded me of one of my favorite sci-fi authors, Isaac Asimov. And he had the 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings, except, this is a long quote, where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So just imagine for a second that we actually implemented this law into AI.
Right.
And then you're a major military power that uses AI to send drones off to bomb things. And the drone there, and it's like, no, I'm not dropping a bomb on that place. There are people down there.
Right. Right. It would open up a whole new industry of hackers that change that AI's mind, right?
Right. Or that makes it worse, right? Like you're at war, you're sending your drones off to bomb a bridge, and next thing you know, they're bombing your troops.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It opens up a lot of interesting ethical questions. But I like this idea of applying Asimov's 3 laws to AI or something like it. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too. I think we need to be talking about it, right? Or at least,
for sure,
thinking about it and deciding how we're going to deal with this stuff before it becomes so big that we can't deal with it at all. It's just whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's really, I'm just checking to make sure that I don't have any other banner regarding this point, and I don't, which is good. So we're now at the stage where we're going to talk about, I might have had a trigger finger there and hit it a little bit too quickly, but the book of the day it's a book that is on free-ebooks.net. And let me just see if I can quickly find it. I've got it right here. I think it's applicable to what we've been talking about. I haven't read it yet. I'm planning on downloading and reading it because, it's free. Oops. And there we go. This is the Beginner's Guide to Artificial Intelligence AI.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that we need to take a look at. And it's a fast-paced book. It's volume 1 because, when we're doing this sort of stuff, it's easy to come up with a second volume and that sort of thing.
Right.
And it's important to just, read and kind of try and take all this stuff in, because, there's an awful lot. And the beauty of where we're at today is we can stand on the shoulders of giants, right? We don't have to figure it all out. We can find people like yourself that have figured it out. This is the URL for it. I'm going to put it in the comments and in the descriptions, and start reading it. And there's a lot. But what we love about free-ebooks.net is you can read it for free. I was going to say watch it for free. Yes, you'll be using your eyes to watch the pages, but that's not how we say it. But you'll be able to read it for free and see what you think. And one of the things that we get a lot of comments from people all over the world where they've downloaded, say, some of our textbooks, and they've said, the textbook, it wasn't the most up-to-date textbook. It was a couple of years out of date. But because, physics, for example, doesn't change that much, I was able to use the textbook in my courses, save that money. Otherwise, I would never have been able to graduate.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's great.
So we're making changes in the world, all around the world. People are getting education because we have these textbooks. So it's not just about reading the romance books or the sci-fi books. You can read business books, marketing books, textbooks, history books, and, improve yourself. And I think that's really what we're all about here.
Interesting that you were talking about that, and also we were talking about Amazon, and I just wanted to put this other little bit of tidbit of information out there too. Amazon recently came out with new policies about AI written books. So they are not objecting to books written by AI, which means we could go to ChatGPT and write a book right now. You could literally, in a matter of an hour, have ChatGPT write you a book. There's a certain way to do it so that the book comes out good. And of course, you're going to want to still edit it and add a human touch to it, right? I would not just go and create a ChatGPT book and upload it as is. I would want to have some of my own information, and there's some human review to it too. But the point is that Amazon does not seem to be objecting to AI generated books. All they want to know when you upload a book to KDP is they ask you a couple of questions like, was this partially using AI? Was this book written partially using AI, fully using AI, or just where AI was the basis of the book, that kind of thing. So they're just starting to ask a few questions, a little bit of I guess a summary to understand whether AI was used in the creation of the book. But what that's telling us is that they are giving us a go-ahead to use AI in creation of books. And so that's an interesting, little bit of news there for Amazon KDP.
That's fascinating, actually, because it'll be interesting to see in a year when their book count is quadrupled.
Right, exactly.
And they don't think the quality is very good.
Yeah.
If there's a backlash, right? I mean, the big problem we always have with these sort of things is people don't care about quality. They just put up as much garbage as they can and flood the marketplace. And then it's like, well, we need to do something and hopefully that doesn't happen. But
right. I mean, when I talk about AI generated books or even courses, I always recommend that you're writing about something. I'm normally talking about nonfiction, right?
Yeah.
I normally recommend that you're writing about something that and that you use ChatGPT as the foundational element. Like maybe it gives you the rough draft, or maybe it gives you the outline, gives
Right.
you the beginnings of it, but then you apply your personality and your uniqueness to it, and that's when you can make something really, really great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, as we know, that get stuck when they're writing a book. They get writer's block. They're just like, man, I haven't been able to keep going. I stopped a month ago. I
Yeah.
don't know how to continue. Well, man, with ChatGPT, you can have the outline done in a matter of minutes and just start following that outline.
Yes.
If all it did was give you a great outline and then sub headings or sub chapters, so to speak, that's usually what is keeping people, getting people writer's block, is they don't know where to go next or what to say next. But
Yeah.
if you have a good, proper outline to work from, you're off to the races.
And I totally agree with you, Dave, on that. I think that we need to make this more human,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
unfortunately, AI is trying to sound as human as possible. I mean, you could probably say, do a 5-minute speech on books in the voice of Scott Patton using his characteristics, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And I probably wouldn't. Did I say that? But to your point about how you use it, I do a lot of video, obviously do a lot of video. And with one of my clients, I thought, let's just try something different here. And I went to ChatGPT and I said, what are the top 10 Warren Buffett quotes? What are the top 10 Obi-Wan Kenobi quotes, And then I got him to read the quote and then comment on the quote.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, I went to Midjourney and I put his image in and I said, make him a Jedi Knight. And so I had a couple really good images of him. And then you could use another AI to get the image to talk. So the beginning, like the quote was him looking like a Jedi talking, actually, without him ever having to do anything. It was all, you can tell it wasn't real, right?
Yeah.
You could tell, but it wasn't supposed to try to fool you by any stretch of the imagination. And then it would transform to him actually then doing commentary on the quote. And hashtagging Star Wars, we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of views.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like,
nice.
This is how you can tap into different types of not markets, but like people that follow different types of hashtags.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah. So it was, you found the information and then you comment on the information, because like you look at the news, they're never saying anything new. It's so-and-so said this, and then you have a bunch of people talking about what he said. Right. So I thought, why don't we just do the same thing?
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of our time. And before we go, we have one last segment. So, Dave, when it comes to AI, what would be a tip you would give people that have never really looked at it?
AI in general, I would say get today's free book, for one, because it'll get you started on the road of understanding AI. If I were to give people advice right now, this might sound a little radical, a little extreme, but immerse yourself in understanding AI, and specifically how it can benefit your life, your business, your work, your day-to-day. I mean, I look at AI as a huge time saver and a huge leverage tool. Now, I'm an entrepreneur, so that's how I look at it, right? But you might find other cool uses for it. I'll tell you what, sometimes, Scott, I enjoy just sitting on my recliner as I'm watching YouTube videos, and I'm typing in random things into Midjourney to see what kind of images it comes up with. Just like weird juxtaposition of terms, and see what it comes up with. And just play with it. That allows me to develop my creative process, my creative brain, coming up with ideas, things like that. So I would suggest immersing yourself, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, immerse yourself, because it's coming at us. It's a tidal wave, and you don't want to be crushed under the tidal wave. You want to be surfing the tidal wave, right? But I would also, even if you're not an entrepreneur, not in business, I'd be just looking at many ways that it can save you time in life, ways it can provide entertainment, ways it can develop your creative side. If you've always wanted to write a book, man, go to ChatGPT and just say, I'd like an outline for this book. Or if you always wanted to write a fiction book, say, I've got this character, I've got these ideas, give me a rough idea or outline of that book, whatever it may be. AI can make life easier, better, faster for you. So why not be at the leading edge of it instead of falling behind? Don't be one of those people that 2-3 years from now is going, oh wow, I didn't know I could do that with AI. I could have saved 2 or 3 years of time, just like I gave you the Expedia example, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be getting that right away.
Somebody's planning a trip, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that this all could be done in the snap of a finger, Yeah. So things like that.
That's an awesome.
Make life easier.
And go to Dave's YouTube channel and just delve into that's a really good, easy way to get started understanding what's going on, because you're fundamentally a teacher, Dave, and so you're not going to get you're not going to get the hype, buy this and buy that, as much as you're going to get, this is how this works, this is how that works. And I think what can be overwhelming is it's probably like 10 or 15 channels that you could end up subscribing to and watching. And I think the trick is one mentor for one topic, right?
Right.
If you want to be a golf pro, you have your putting coach maybe, and you have your driving coach, but you don't have 2 putting coaches because they're going to tell you 2 different things.
Exactly.
So, pick someone, and Dave is an awesome teacher. He would be my choice. I'm subscribed to that channel now. And while you had the full screen, I went back and hit the subscribe button, and then you just focus on those one things. And I think the other thing I wanted, so here's my tip. All right. And I may have said this to you before, Dave, but 20 years ago, I was trying to learn how to copyright, how to be a copywriter, right? So I ordered this course, and the way that they distributed the course, because it was a mail order course, was they would send you a chapter a month. So after
I was in that same course, probably.
AWAI.
Yep.
It's a great course. And after 6 months, I had this much paper on my desk. And it was just like, when am I gonna, I want to learn this, but I just don't have time, is what was going through my head. So I changed my question, or I changed my complaint from I don't have time to how can I read these? And I thought, well, I like to read, but normally the majority of my reading actually is before I go to bed. Like I'll go to bed and I'll read 15 minutes and turn out the light and go to sleep. So I thought, why don't I read this course? Like blinding flash of the obvious, right? So I took the papers off of my desk, put them on my nightstand, and within 2 months, I was caught up. Now hadn't done the exercises, but I had read the whole thing, right? Of course, 2 months had already given me 2 more chapters as well. But I'm shocked at how fast that pile went down when I was doing a little bit every day. So, watch one of Dave's AI videos every day, and it's like 10 or 15 minutes probably, right?
Yep.
So there you go. And then after a couple months, you're going to have this massive amount of knowledge, and hopefully he'll have inspired you to, get into Midjourney or get into Leonardo AI or get into Scott AI, who knows what's coming down the pike, or Dave's AI, and play around. And it's going to get easier and easier and easier, because what I'm seeing, a lot of the people that supply SaaS, software as a service type stuff, is they're all jumping into AI, and they know that their customers, their subscribers they're there because they're not and don't want to be super technical. They might be technical, but they don't want to be in this particular arena. So one of my mentors, he's making websites, and all the posts, Midjourney makes the feature image automatically, sort of thing. Right. And the images are absolutely amazing. So so it's just, that's kind of what you want to do is do a little bit every day consistently. And then when you get inspired by something that Dave teaches you, jump into that and delve into it and practice it. Because of course there's the passive part of, watching or reading. and then there's the active part of actually doing, and you don't want to not do. You want to get in there and do. You do 3 or 4 bad images on Mid-Journey, or they've got 2 fingers instead of 5, and then you figure it out, and the next thing you know, oh, this is really, really easy. So
Right.
that's kind of my tip.
Great tip.
Thank you. All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be here every Wednesday at 5 Eastern, and we look forward to your comments and your questions. If you've got any questions about AI, put them in the comments, and we'll deal with them in a future show for sure. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dave. You've been awesome as usual, and We'll see you next week, everybody.